Hi YouTube. Welcome to the Adventure Game Studio how-to series, where I will be walking you through the Adventure Game Studio editor and how to use it to create a game.
Adventure Game Studio is a program written by Chris Jones, and it allows you to create adventure games similar to the ones that were created by Sierra Online and LucasArts back in the late 80s, early 90s. Games like King's Quest, Quest for Glory, The Secret of Monkey Island, those types of games, and it does a really good job of that. I mean, it's a really great program for creating those types of games. It allows you to totally customize your interface in your game. It has great features for creating your own custom GUIs in the game, but it also has built-in defaults like saving your game, restoring your game, your inventory management, things like that are sort of built in for you. So it's a really good program for just allowing you to create a great adventure game.
So the first thing I wanted to do is explain that the game that I'll be actually showing how to design in this series is the Sammy's Quest game. And if you haven't already, you might want to check out, before you watch this series of videos, you might want to check out the Sammy's Quest walkthrough that's on my channel, densming, D-E-N-S-M-I-N-G, on YouTube. There's a playlist there for Sammy's Quest walkthrough, and that just sort of walks through the game that we'll be going over in the AGS editor, just to kind of give you an idea of what the game is before we jump in. So the first thing I wanted to do for AGS editor video is show where to get AGS. I've got a web browser up here, and actually I'm at the Adventure Game Studio homepage, which is adventuregamestudio.co.uk. So that's all one word, obviously, adventuregamestudio.co.uk. And once you get there, there's lots and lots of things to do on the website. But just to get AGS, there's a download AGS link on the left. You click on that. Currently, the current version, I believe, is 3.0.2. So you can get that from, if you scroll down a little bit, you can get it from either the German server or the USA server, whichever is closest to wherever you are. Or you can get a RAR file, which doesn't include the demo game, from the download plain RAR file link. So however you want to get it, it's fine. Once you download it, you run the installation program, and it will install the editor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to load up AGS just to kind of give a brief overview of. You know what? I'll load up Sammy's Quest. This isn't the complete Sammy's Quest, but just to give you an idea of what the editor is and sort of the different parts of the editor here. Once you've got the editor open, that screen you saw was the wizard and asked me what I wanted to do, and I just said load up Sammy's Quest. Here in the middle on the left, you have what's called the main view window, and this shows you your current document that you have open, and I call it a document. It could be a character, it could be a room, it could be a view, it could be a font, it could be whatever particular thing you have open. Currently, it's displaying the start page, and then in the upper right corner is really your meat and potatoes of your game. This is where you have all of the different components of your game here. This is called the project tree. Anywhere from general settings of your game to your GUIs, to the different characters in the game. Scroll down, I have the different rooms in the game that I have. And of course, this is not a complete version of Sammy's Quest, so I only have one room and one character. But if I had more, you'd see them listed here. Your different mouse cursors that you have in the game. So every component in your game is going to be listed here in the project tree. If I double click on any particular component, for example, Sammy, it'll bring up Sammy, that particular component in the document window, and then in the lower right corner, then you have what's called the properties window, and that has the properties of the currently opened object. So it has all the different attributes that you can assign to that object. For the case of a character, you have the name of the character, the script name, what room the character starts in, the X and Y location that the character starts in that room, and just lots of other things associated with that particular character. For an inventory item, for example, if I double click on any of these inventory items, you have where the hotspot is located for that inventory item. You have the name of the item, whether or not the player starts with the item. So there's just a whole slew of different things that you can do, that you can set on via what are called the attributes or the properties of that particular item down here in the lower right hand corner. Across the top you have your standard toolbar. You'll get more icons depending on whether or not you're editing a room or not. For example, if I double click on the main hall, when I go to hotspots, I have drawing buttons that came up when I clicked on the hotspots here that allowed me to draw in the room. And so that's really the basic interface for AGS Editor, which we'll be going over. In the next series of videos, we'll be talking about, actually in the first series of videos, we'll be talking about your first character, how to create your first character, Sammy in this case. And then we'll go from there. We'll create the room. We'll put Sammy in the room. We'll have him say a few things, and then we'll go from there. So I hope you enjoy this video. Leave comments, by the way, if you have suggestions or if you have things that I didn't cover clearly enough, and I'll try to post. I can post additional videos if people have questions or want additional questions answered or something like that. Another good place, and I meant to mention this when I talked about the AGS Studio, Adventure Game Studio website. You go there now. If you go to the forums, there's a link over here on the left for forums. This is a really, 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 really good place to go for questions. AGS has a very, very active community of people who use AGS. People know a lot more than I do about it, so I'm no expert by any means. I've created one game using AGS, and that's it. But there are people that on the forums that have created tons and tons of games that know a lot more about this than I do. So if you go into forums, enter the main forums now. You can create a login. I'm densming in there, but you can create a login if you want to. And go in here, ask questions, look to see if your question might have already been answered in the forums. But if not, ask questions. CJ, Chris Jones, the person that actually wrote AGS Edit and the AGS engine, is a frequent member and contributor to the forums as well. So if anybody knows the answer, he will, and he'll post if he reads it and has the answer, he'll make sure that he contributes as well. So it's a great place to go if you have questions while you're designing your game. I know I did, and I continue to. I mean, there's tons of things in AGS Edit that I have never experienced before, or maybe I just don't even know. So, but if you have questions or just comments, or if I just say something totally wrong that's totally not true, then feel free to post on the comments. And subscribe to my videos. I'll be adding them as I create them, as I have time at night and what have you. So, anyway. I hope that you all watch my videos. Take it easy. Bye.